Welcome to Eastleigh Borough Council's licensing hearing. This hearing is convened under the Licensing Act 2003. The panel are convened to fulfil a non-political role. This meeting is being broadcast live via Microsoft Teams live events and will be recorded. Please keep your microphones muted unless called to speak by the chair. If you have any connection issues, then please let us know, either via the meeting chat if you're able to, or by sending a message to my work mobile number, which you all have. Thank you, Chair.
This is a meeting of the Eastleigh Borough Council licensing panel. I am Councillor Asman, the chair of this panel, and my colleagues, Councillors Craig and Broadhurst, complete the panel. On this occasion, we have no reserve panellist, and therefore, in the event of technical issues, the meeting will be paused until such time as the councillor can return to the meeting. Also in attendance is our clerk to the licensing panel, Laura Johnston, and the solicitor to the panel, Andy Forrest. Today we will be determining an application for a premises licence for Wonderberry's coffee shop, 40 to 41 Victoria Road, Netley Abbey. Can I just ask Laura, please, to confirm that all persons are here and to read out the names of those persons?
Of course, Chair, we have Councillor Asman, Councillor Broadhurst and Councillor Craig, myself, Laura Johnston, clerk to the panel, Andy Forrest, solicitor to the panel, Charlotte Cooper, the applicant, and also in attendance we have Nikki Dunn, Democratic Services Officer, Nikki Morehouse, Reserve Legal Advisor to the panel, AJ Vittams, who's a legal observer, Penny Skirchley, who is also a legal observer. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can I also check that members that everyone has seen a copy of the agenda and supporting papers, please?
Yes.
Everyone has, thank you. And can I also check that members have no declarations of interest?
Nothing from me.
Thank you very much. The determination of this application and any representations made must be in accordance with the 4 licensing objectives. The proceedings will take the following order. The clerk will outline the application. The applicant or representative will present their application. Questions will be invited from the panel, our legal advisor and our clerk. As chair, I may then permit the objectors to question the applicant, but always through the chair. The objectors will be invited to present their case. Questions will be invited from the panel, legal advisor and clerk. As chair, I may then permit the applicant to question the objectors, but always through the chair. A final address from the applicant will be permitted. The panel will then retire to determine the application in accordance with the 4 licensing objectives and the Eastleigh Borough Council Statement of Licensing Policy. Every effort will be made to determine the application today and to give reasons. Should the panel be called upon to seek guidance from our advisors during private determination, a written record will be kept of the questions asked and the advice given. We will reconvene should clarification be required from any of the parties. We will then ask that they stay online for 30 minutes in case there are any questions that need to be asked by the panel, and if not, they can then leave and the meeting will be switched off. Thank you. We will begin. Before I begin, am I right in thinking that the one objector we received in writing is not present in person?
He's not currently chair, no.
Thank you. I will now ask our clerk to outline the application before us.
Thank you, Chair. The application before the panel today is for the granting of a new premises licence for Wonderberry's coffee shop, 40 to 41 Victoria Road, Netley Abbey, SA31 5DQ. The applicant is Charlotte Cooper and she is here today. The application, a summary of which is set out on page 3 of the agenda pack, is a new premises application requesting the supply by retail of alcohol from 9:30 AM to 11 PM Monday to Sunday. The general opening hours are 9:30 AM to 4:30 PM Tuesday to Sunday, but the extended hours have been requested for special events such as Valentine's Day and Christmas. The application has received 1 valid public representation and no representations from the responsible authorities. Under the Licensing Act 2003, only representations relevant to 1 or more of the licensing objectives may be considered here today. These objectives are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, the protection of children from harm. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. may I please then ask Andy Forrest if he will please set out the relevant facts with regards to this application and the reason for the hearing.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, under the Licensing Act 2003, there is a presumption of grant of a licence. So there will only ever be a hearing if a relevant representation has been made. In this particular case, we have one objection which does raise issues around the licensing objectives, and so it is deemed to be a relevant objection, and therefore the hearing is necessary. But as I say, the Licensing Act has within it a presumption of grant, and therefore the application should be granted unless you feel that the concerns raised in the objection cannot be met through conditions. I would also remind you that there are no objections or comments from any of the responsible authorities, and the statutory guidance attached to the Licensing Act tells us that the responsible authorities are deemed to be experts in their particular fields. In this particular case, the objection relates largely to nuisance, potentially to public safety with regard to parking, but you have no objections from the responsible authorities in that regard. And then the final point I wanted to make was that this is a new application. Although the premises are running at the moment, they are without a licence, so it's a new application for a licence. And as far as that's concerned, you're not entitled to take into account any speculation as to what problems might occur. You can only deal with evidence of issues that arise at the time. So unless there are any questions for me, Chair.
No, not for me. No, thank you very much indeed. Therefore, Ms. Cooper, may I ask you if you would like, please, now to put your case?
Hello?
Hello, yes, we can hear you. Thank you very much.
So I guess I'll just tell you exactly what we would like the licence for.
Yes, please do, yes.
Okay, so we're a coffee shop, but we also do afternoon teas. So predominantly we would like an alcohol licence to be able to serve Prosecco with our afternoon teas. We had a previous premises in Basildon, so we didn't fall under you as a council, we fell under Ferren Borough Council, and we had TENS licenses through them to do exactly what we would like to do here. Yeah, it's not to open a bar or a pub or anything like that. It would be predominantly to serve Prosecco with afternoon tea. I mean, I obviously don't want to limit myself because you never know what's going to happen in the future, but I can't imagine that it would extend further than something like that.
Right, thank you very much indeed. Councillors, do you have any questions, please?
Can I just ask a question over the hours then, because you want an alcohol licence. You're saying it's for predominantly afternoon teas, but you're wanting to extend to 11 o'clock in the evening. So yeah, just around that really.
Yeah, sure. So when we put in the original application, we put it in for our opening times, and I run the business with my mum, so she did a lot of the toing and froing because she does a lot of the admin side of things. And whoever we spoke to said that if you have the licence in the restricted hours, it just makes it more difficult with like having alcohol on show and things like that. So they suggested that we did it for the maximum times that we could ever want to open. At Christmas, we do open later because we do grazing platter. Well, I say we have done in the past. The reason all of these things have happened is because when COVID hit, we'd only just opened. I opened on the 1st of March 2020 and shut 17 days later. So December 2020, obviously we were scrambling around to try and make money. So we did evening grazing platters as a way to just, because we had 1 month, I think he let us open for 1 month, didn't he? So we did evening grazing platters just to make money. They were really popular, so we did do them again last year, and people have asked them if we're going to do them again this year. I don't know if we are. I mean, it's literally my mum and I, and then we've got like young girls that work for us. I don't want to be here every night until 11 o'clock. Like that sounds terrible for me. I start at 5. So it's more just a non-restrict. I don't want to have to restrict myself and then have to keep applying for extensions and things. But yeah, so that's why the license is until 11, because in the past, in December, we have used that.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah, it makes sense now. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Broadhurst, anything from you?
No, I'm quite content on what I'm hearing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Cooper, just a couple from me. Just so we've got a broader idea, how many staff do you actually employ?
So it's myself and my mum. We have one full-time member of staff, and then six part-time members of staff.
And do any of those other staff hold a personal licence?
No.
They don't. And what sort of training have your staff had, in particular with reference to selling of alcohol?
Well, none yet, because obviously if we don't get the licence, we haven't.
No, but you would be instigating that, would you?
Yeah, I mean, not to speak ill of my mum because I love her, but she drives me insane with the amount of Excel spreadsheets and protocol things that we have. So I have utmost faith in her that she would cover everything that needs to be covered.
Yes, right. Sounds like a good backup to me. Excellent.
Yeah.
You also, I know you haven't wished to extend the licence to include recorded music. Do you never have any background music or?
We have a PRS licence, which I'm assuming would cover.
So you have a.
We wouldn't have like. Pardon?
I couldn't hear you. Sorry, could you repeat? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. We have a PRS licence to play music in the shop, but we wouldn't have a licence for live music or like open mic nights or anything like that. That's we have a flat above us who we get on really well with, and we're very conscious that we don't want to upset them. They've been really accommodating, so we don't want to play live music or anything like that.
Right. Thank you very much indeed.
No problem.
I'm happy. Mr. Forrest, do you have any further questions?
I just wanted to ask one question about the plan. You've got the sort of photograph, the Google Earth photograph with the red line around it, which obviously incorporates the garden. But there's a building at the end that's inside the red line. Can you just explain what that is?
A shack. It's like it's a garage, I guess. We use it for storage. It's damp, and
so no intention to sort of extend into there as well.
I mean, like I said, I never want to say never because 2020 taught me to not do that. But no, it would cost me a lot of money to make that even remotely habitable. Really, I mean, it's damp. It floods in the rain. Just no. But I mean, maybe if I end up making enough money to do that, sure. But at the moment, definitely not. Oh gosh.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, sorry, just one further thing. You've got a covered area outside, have you?
It's not covered. It's 5 tables, I think, and 4 of them have got parasols.
Sorry, that froze again on.
Sorry, our signal here is terrible. It's 5 tables, I think, and 4 of them or 3 of them have got parasols. It's not covered. It's
not a covered area. So that forms part of the garden, does it?
Yeah, it's like a courtyard, I would describe it as.
It's a courtyard. And is there a garden proper?
No, do you want me to show you? Do you want me to take you out on the camera?
No, that's fine.
It's just there.
I was just trying to sort of gauge how big the outside area was.
It's not big. It's literally, I would say, I can't see. If I open the window, I can have a look. I think it's 5 tables that sit 4 people each. Yeah, 20. Right. That's right. And they've got parasols. The reason that we've opened it is because we have a lot of dog walkers. We don't let them in the shop, so we've opened it up for them to sit outside in the garden. But I know one of the reasons that there was a complaint or an objection was because of like noise in the evening or noise in the day. Our plan wouldn't be to serve afternoon tea outside. We serve it on fine bone china. I don't want people taking that outside. So again, people might have a drink outside, but I can't imagine that they're going to be sat out there drinking, if you see what I mean. But again, I don't know.
You can't judge, can you?
Yeah, one thing I've learned is that people surprise you.
Always. That's fine with me. Anybody else got any questions that they want to raise?
Chair, Councillor Craig has requested to speak in the chat.
Oh, sorry, yes, she has. Yes, sorry, Councillor Craig, yeah.
Sorry, that's fine. It was just because you're saying it's not a covered area. Is it not very well used in the winter? I would imagine if it's wet and cold and things, the courtyard's not really used.
So it's really hard for me to answer that question because we've only been open since March. All I can tell you is that on the days that it's rained, nobody sat out there.
Okay, so it's quite weather conditioned then.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't know if please stop me if this is the wrong time for me to address those concerns. I was really surprised that one of the reasonings was because it's loud, because I had gone out there before I'd obviously read this and served someone, and it was so quiet that I was thinking, which I wouldn't do because we have neighbours, but I was thinking, oh, it needs music out here. It's really like a dead atmosphere, which I would never ever do because, like I said, we've got neighbours and we get on really well with them. But so I was really surprised that was one of the reasonings, was that it was really loud, because it's never full or hardly ever full. And yeah, I mean, in the winter, I can't imagine anyone's going to sit out there.
Yeah. I think it's people's perception of noise, sometimes just the tables and the chairs scraping across the pavement, that kind of thing, you know, across the floor. That can be irritating if you're next door trying to be quiet, having a sort of rest, and you can hear that. So it's just people's perception of noise, I think.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. The only thing I would say on that is they're static tables and chairs, you know, like almost like picnic benches, but not. But yeah, that's a fair point.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Thank you very much. Any more questions from anybody? I can't see anything in the chat. No, everyone happy? Is there anything else you would like to say in support of your application, Charlotte?
Is now the time for me? Can I just address the parking query, or is that not now?
Yes, by all means.
Yeah. So the parking, the query of parking is absolutely fair. The only thing I would say is it's nothing to do with us. It's been like it since before we moved in, and the gentleman who's put the request, the objection in, he doesn't know this without us. He moved in after we were here. We were already open, but the parking's always been not great. And the parking that he mentioned on the double yellow lines irritates me probably more than anybody else, because it's not us. So when we get deliveries, our delivery guys can't park there. So, I mean, I agree with him on that point. It's just nothing I can do. It's nothing to do with us.
Right.
I mean, I would love someone to come around and give parking tickets, because it is really annoying. But yeah, right, just it's not us.
Well, thank you very much indeed for the clarification on that. Much appreciated. Andy, have you got any further questions that we'd like to raise, or anything to add?
Nothing further at this stage, Chair. No, thank you.
So if we'd like to proceed with you about the decision-making process.
I just wanted to check, the objector hasn't attended, Laura?
I will just triple check, but I haven't seen. No, he's not here.
Okay, Chair. Well, obviously everyone's read the papers. We've seen the objection in the papers, and Charlotte's addressed that to an extent. I don't know if you wanted to say any more about that. Had the objector been here and spoken, you would have been given an opportunity to ask any questions of him. But I think you've probably addressed the issues that were raised, unless you wanted to add any more.
I don't think so. I mean, the only thing I would say is he's obviously not our only neighbour, and we get on really well with him. I was surprised to see that was who the objector was. But we have lots of neighbours, and when that objection came in, I spoke to the guys who were directly behind us, and because I was worried, because I am really conscious that people live here and I don't want to upset anybody. I wouldn't want that if I lived somewhere. And they said they couldn't hear us. Again, they're in a different place, so that's not to say he can't. Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, so I would say nobody else objected, and I feel like they all had the opportunity. We spoke to everybody when we put the licence in to explain. So yeah, that's all I can say really. We have lots of neighbours.
Okay, thank you. Well, Chair, in that case, it is time to move to the decision-making process. As far as that's concerned, we will move to a separate meeting to have a private discussion. The legal observers will join us in that meeting, Charlotte, but they won't take any part in the decision-making process.
Okay.
In that process, I will remind the panel that the decision needs to be made on the evidence that within your application, including the objection and any evidence that's been heard today, and it needs to be in accordance with the licensing objectives and the Eastleigh Borough Council statement of licensing policy. If there is any further legal advice that they are given or request within the meeting, then we will let you know what that was. But obviously I gave some legal advice at the outset, and I've just given some guidance there. Normally we would say give you a sort of time estimate as to when we think we'd be back. I think probably if we say 11 o'clock, Chair, does that sound?
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
In fact, are we going to notify Miss Cooper today, or are we proceeding on the basis that she stays for half an hour and then we will just write to her or email her with the decision in due course?
What I was going to suggest, Chair, is if she hangs around till past, because I think we'll know by then whether we've got any further clarification we want from her.
Yeah.
Then she can leave and come back at 11, and then I think we can give the decision at 11.
Okay, fine. Right. On that basis, sorry, Charlotte, yes.
So I stay here till 10:30 and then come back at 11.
Yes, please.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind doing that, that's wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. Right, we'll see you later then.
No problem.
Thank you. Oh,
Thank
sorry,
you.
just
Thank
one
you very
quick,
much for your time.
just one quick thing. Sorry, Andy. Can I just confirm that the appropriate adverts were displayed and published?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Right, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I've got confirmation twice. Lovely. Right. Okay, then see you later, and we'll go off and consider our decision. Thank you. Bye.
Councillors, just as a reminder, if you can leave this, the live will stay running so that we can potentially give a decision at 11 o'clock with a holding slide. So if you leave this one and go into the deliberation invite, and we'll leave this one running. When you come back in, we'll keep everything muted and cameras off until we're ready to carry on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, see you in a minute. Charlotte, I'm just checking if you're back with us so we can start again.
Yeah, I'm here.
Brilliant, thank you. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. This is Eastleigh Borough Council Licensing Panel decision of the meeting held on 23rd September 2022, which was an application for a new premises licence, Wonderberry's Coffee Shop at 4041 Victoria Road, Netley Abbey, SO31 5DQ. This hearing was held as a virtual meeting using Microsoft Teams and was streamed live online for the press and public to view via the live events platform. The panel considered very carefully the application for a premises licence at Wonderberry's Cafe, 4041 Victoria Road, Netley Abbey, SO31 5DQ. It gave due regard to the Licensing Act 2003, the licensing objectives, statutory guidance and the adopted statement of licensing policy. The panel considered the representations, both written and given orally by all parties. The Human Rights Act 1998, the Equality Act 2010 and the Crime and Disorder Act 1998 Section 17 were considered whilst making the decision. The panel also took into account that none of the responsible authorities had made representations in respect of the application. The panel received legal advice that in accordance with the statutory guidance, the responsible authorities are to be regarded as experts in their respective fields. The panel noted that generally the legislation provides for a presumption of grant of a licence unless the licensing objectives cannot be met by conditions. Having considered the application and the objection in writing and orally at the hearing, the panel agreed the objection can be met by the proposed conditions. The panel considered whether it would be justified in departing from its statement of licensing policy in light of the representation, but after careful consideration decided it was not. In light of the above, the panel has determined that the application should be granted. The reasons: the panel heard from the applicant, Charlotte Cooper, and had read the objection of Philip de Cruz. The panel considered very carefully the representation objecting to the application and the concerns in respect of the licensing objectives. The panel considered the representations made by the applicant and the type of premises she wished to run. The panel noted that of the objections that were relevant to the licensing objectives, these were concerned as to what might happen if a licence was granted. The panel was reminded that it cannot rely on speculation as to what might happen at a premises. It was also noted that the responsible authorities relating to nuisance and public safety had made no representations and are therefore deemed to be satisfied with the application. The panel concluded that there was no reason not to grant the application. The objector and residents can be reassured that where the grant of any application leads to an adverse impact upon the licensing objectives, a review of the licence can be brought by them and appropriate steps taken at that time. There is a right of appeal for all parties to the Magistrates' Court. Formal notification of the decision will set out that right in full. Thank you very much indeed. And that, I think, Charlotte, thank you very much indeed for your attendance today, and I hope all goes well for you. Have you any queries on that decision at all?
No, thank you. Absolutely thrilled. Thank you very much.
Well, I hope it all goes well for you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for being so patient.
Not at all. Thank you so much for your time, everybody.
Thank you. Right, thank you very much indeed, everybody. I think that concludes our business of the day. And catch up with you all later, I expect. Thank you very much indeed for all attending.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.